Washington, D.C. Anand.
Thanks, Tamal. The former Pennsylvania Senator Rick Santorum has quit the race to lead the Republican Party in this year's presidential election. That means Mitt Romney, virtually certain to be the man challenging Barack Obama in November. Alan Fisher has our report.
For Rick Santorum, the end of an improbable presidential election campaign.
We made a decision over the weekend that while this presidential race for us is over for me, and we will suspend our campaign effective today, we are not done fighting.
The former Pennsylvania senator was polling in single figures when he began. In Iowa, he shook hands, talked to small meetings, and ignored those who said he would get nowhere.
I don't run for anything to finish second or third. We try to run to finish first, and we're going to work hard to do that.
He won there and went on to win 10 more states.
This was a good night for Rick Santorum.
But he still trailed far behind the leader, Mitt Romney.
Thank you all very much. God bless you.
Added to the continuing illness of his severely disabled daughter, he decided it was over.
He had no chance. He would have to win at least 3/4 of the remaining delegates. And the fact that he believed he might be able to do that was frankly delusional. I think reality caught up with him.
Santorum argued he was the only true conservative in the race. His stance on social issues like opposing gay marriage won him growing support on the right.
I'm a nice guy. I mean, people like me, I think.
But he faced the real prospect of losing the primary in his home state of Pennsylvania later this month.
Hang in there, don't give up.
We're fighting.
That would have been hugely embarrassing. Barring some unforeseen disaster, Mitt Romney will be the Republican that will face Barack Obama in November. Mitt Romney has to win over Santorum supporters who've never really liked him. Santorum, notably, didn't endorse him when he stepped out of the race. Romney has to fire up conservatives while at the same time not alienating independents and moderates, people he needs to win. For Mitt Romney, for Barack Obama, the US presidential election starts now. Alan Fisher, Al Jazeera, Washington.
Joining me now live from Atlanta is Jason Johnson. He is Associate Professor of Political Science and Communication at Hiram College and the author of the book Political Consultants and Campaigns, One Day to Sell. Thanks for joining us.
Glad to be here.
Well, Santorum is out. Were you in any way surprised when you look at his campaign that he got this far?
Oh, I'm surprised that he got this far, but really he was just filling a role. This was not a pro-Santorum series of successes. This was an anti-Romney group that was pretty much just coalescing around anyone. It might have been Newt Gingrich. It might have been Herman Cain if it weren't for his sexual dalliances. It might have been Tim Pawlenty if he'd stuck around long enough. This is less about Rick Santorum and more about the weakness of Romney as a candidate.
You know, you say anti-Romney, and we know from the people, the Republicans who voted in the primary process so far, that almost 60% of those people who voted for someone other than Romney. So he's got a lot of work now to do to unite the Republican Party on the one hand, and also to move from the far right, where he's been pushed by Santorum, back to the center, doesn't he?
Well, the thing is, Romney has always had an issue during this primary with most Republicans think he's a centrist anyway. They already think he's a moderate. So the issue is trying to convince the Republican base that he's not a moderate and then convince the public that he is a moderate and at the same time win over evangelical Christians who don't want to vote for a Mormon. So Mitt Romney's got plenty of problems. I think Rick Santorum staying in this race as long as he did actually harmed Romney a great deal, exposed a lot of his weaknesses, weakened his connection that was already tenuous with the Republican base, and he goes into a general election against Barack Obama weakened, not financially, but certainly within his own party.
So how does he manage to get broad appeal as he goes into that general election? I mean, appeal from the entire country. Is a lot going to depend on his choice of running mate?
You know, one of the biggest myths in American politics is that the running mate matters, and it usually doesn't. Your running mate is probably going to do more to hurt you than help you. You look at Barack Obama, he picked Joe Biden, who was a boring, simple running mate. You see John McCain, he picked Sarah Palin. If you have to make a splash with your running mate, it means that you are a weak candidate in general. So I don't think Romney wants to have to make his campaign exciting by having a good running mate. I think he wants to try and engender a lot of excitement with the independents, but that's going to be a challenge for somebody like him who's kind of boring.
Okay, what happens next? What do we see in the months ahead?
What we see in the months ahead is serious negotiations between him and Rick Santorum. It's very key. Santorum did not end his campaign, he suspended it, which means he can still raise money. And so Santorum is probably going to be talking to Mitt Romney and saying, look, if you want a great endorsement, then you will help pay off some of my campaign debts. Very similar to what happened with Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama back in 2008.
Jason Johnson, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.